Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, double line to positive GMS, and continuing the show on Simeon and Levi. So he broke down the first part, Simeon and Levi, brethren. This is Genesis chapter 49, verse 5. So let's go to the next part. Okay, next part of this verse. Simeon and Levi, brethren. So we understand that they're brethren. They same father, we know this, right? Simeon and Levi, brethren. And we broke down how that goes into how there are two tribes on the same island. Simeon being the so-called Dominicans, Levi being the so-called Haitians, which both dwell on the same island, which was known as Hispaniola, called that by the Spanish, which Hispaniola means Little Spain. They also brethren because they're similar. They both were vengeful in this particular aspect. In regards to the next part of the verse, instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. So they weren't just brethren because they, had the same genetic line and they're both males, but also they were alike because it says instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. Now, what are those instruments of cruelty referencing? Let's go to the book of Genesis, the 34th chapter. Genesis 34:1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. So he raped her. Okay? And this is a Hamite. And his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel and spake kindly unto the damsel. He was in love with her, and he forced himself upon her. And Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. So Shechem said to his father Hamor, he wanted to marry Dinah. And Jacob had heard what was done unto Dinah. And it says, now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they would come. So he found out what happened. His sons was in the cattle with the field, but he held his peace until they would come. He didn't just go on right straight and tell him. He waited until they came back to him to tell him what happened. It says, and the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it, and the men grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. So they were angry. They were pissed off. There's a lot here. I'll keep reading. And Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give him to wife, and make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possession therein. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. And ask me never so much dowry and gift, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. So whatever you wanted, he's going to give for Dinah. And the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said unto them, we cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. So they know we can't do that. We can't give unto you. But in this will we consent unto you, if ye will be as we, that every male of you be circumcised, then will we give our daughters unto you. And we will take your daughters unto us, and we will dwell with you, and we will be one people. So if you circumcised like we are, then we will let you have our sister. But if you are not hearkened unto us to be circumcised, then will we take our daughter, and we will be gone. And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem's Hamor's son. And the young man deferred not to do the thing, because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. So he was honorable. He said he was more honorable than all the house of his father. So he agreed to do what it was that they asked him to do, because he wanted the daughter, the sister Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. And Hamor and Shechem, his son, came unto the gate of their city and communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein. Jump down a little bit. I'm going to jump down to verse 22. Only therein will the men consent for us to do well with us, to be one people, with every male among us be circumcised, as they are circumcised. So what happened was they agreed to be circumcised. Okay? Jump down to verse 25. And it came to pass on the third day, Genesis 34:25, when they were sore, because they were sore, they had just cut the foreskin of their penises off, so they were all sore. So they wasn't able to fight, they weren't able to get into battle. When they were sore, that the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. So they came and just slaughtered everybody, killed all of them. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. And the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all the little ones, and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. So they took everything. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land. Look at that word stink, what that means. Was it Ba'ash? To have bad smell, become odious. Abhor. In other words, his name had like a bad smell among them, figuratively speaking. Like the scripture says, a good name is better than a precious ointment. A good name is better than a precious ointment, because a good name stands the test of time. A precious ointment, it smells good for a while, but then eventually the smell begins to deteriorate. It begins to dissipate. So when he's saying you made me have to stink, in other words, you will spoil you my good name. Let something that soiled smells. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me, and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with a harlot? In other words, is he going to deal with his sister the way you deal with a harlot? You're not just going to go and just take my sister by force and think you're going to allow you to marry her. So now we know what it means when it says instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. We have one aspect of when it says instruments of cruelty are in their habitations, which that's referring to what we just read in the book of Genesis, the 34th chapter. Okay? Wait 1 second. Now those were the Hivites, Deuteronomy 7:1. When the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mighty than thou. And when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. So really, what they was doing was the right thing. Now, that was back in Genesis. That was long before the book of Deuteronomy was written. That was before Moses came on the scene. But that shows you how they was really in the right spirit. Because the Hivites was one of those nations that the Most High said you was going to destroy them, make no covenant with them. So guess what? You wasn't supposed to make no covenant with them Hivites. To, take their daughters unto you, or give your daughters unto them. Not supposed to make no marriages with them, no deals with them. You're supposed to kill them. So really, they was doing the right thing. Go to Hivites real quick. Chawaya. Hivite villagers, 6th generation of descendants of Canaan, the son of Ham, who were living in northern Canaan near Mount Hermon at the time of the conquest. Okay? So when you go back to the verse right here, Genesis 34:13, and the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah their sister, they was already plotting. They was already planning on killing him from the get-go. So they really was in the right spirit. They really was in the right spirit. They was already, so it was already in their spirit to do what was lawful, pursuant to Deuteronomy 7th chapter, long before that was even written. So with that, I'm gonna close. You know, that was just a short part of the lesson. The next part, I'm gonna go deeper into the other aspects of how we know who Simeon and Levi is. That's just a historical aspect of what happened at that time in Genesis. But I'm gonna go deeper into a low will and through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahshua in the next part. So with that, I'm gonna say, I hope brother learned something. All praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Shalom.